Okay, so let's move on. Of the most asked questions we get, it's related to power supply and charging. So there are two things that you should be aware of on our devices. So let me bring up the screen. If you open the cart manager and go to the power and charge, there is this option called enable AI charge to extend battery life while on older. One of the things that we need to consider, and most manufacturers of for tablets and phones don't need to really worry about, is the fact that our devices will be used at direct sunlight for hours. So we need to take in consideration stuff like battery temperature, because if you let it go above 45 degrees, the lithium cannot charge. We need to take in consideration the battery wear. So most of the devices that are put on motorcycles, the user just plugs a USB cable and allows the battery to stay constantly at 100%. That's really bad for a lithium battery. That will degrade your battery really, really, really fast. Ideally, what you want is the battery to stay between 40% to like 60%, because you are using it at that moment. You can allow it to go, I would say, on max 80%, and then you want it to stop charging, allow it to discharge. It will also allow it to cool down, and you can repeat these cycles, like from 60 to 80 or 40 to 60 cycles. And unfortunately, you cannot accomplish this on most devices, because you would need a router device, some software that would allow you to program this. And on our device, we are doing that all automatically. And that's what this option does. This option will look at the temperature, at the percentages, at the current calibration state of the battery, and we'll try to keep the battery between 60% and 80%, and it will do this in cycles. It will adapt the charging cycle. For example, charge 20 seconds, pause 5, or charge 1 minute and then pause 10 seconds. And it will make these decisions based on all the data that's available on the current capacity, on the current temperature, on the current that it's getting in, and it will take care of everything for you. So we get a lot of support requests from people that they put their tablets on the motorcycles. They can see it's charging, but then they will write to us, well, my tablet never charges above 80%. Well, it doesn't, because it's not supposed to by default. If you want to, you can just come here and disable this option, and okay, now it will charge to 100. Although I will not advise you to do that. As I said, it will greatly reduce the life of your battery, especially when you are riding on really hot days. I do not advise that. So that's one of the first questions, and probably the one that we get the most. Why isn't my tablet charging over 80%? So that's the reason, because we have a system that will try to keep your battery between 60 and 80, and will do all sorts of different cycles to prevent your battery to degrade fast. The second question that we have also a lot of times seems to be related to our power supply. And this one generates all types of questions, like, okay, I connected the power supply. I'm actually going to get one charger here so that you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so if you look at the cable that comes out of our holder, you will see it's a single cable that then arrives to a power supply. Then on this power supply, you have another cable going out that has an M8 connection on the end, which It's very simple to understand that this goes to the M8 connection on the tablet, right? So you just plug this in, and this, as we've talked before, this is an ideal power delivery system for off-road. Then on the other side, you get a simple 2-wire for power, 12 volts. It even has the labels. So you can either connect this directly to your bike battery, or you can simply connect to any power point. Anywhere you can take 12 volts post ignition, for example, you can connect this there, and that's it. Now, the issues start when the user connects this and there's no power. And there's no power usually because of this little thing, which actually has an LED inside, which will tell you when the LED is on, it means it is charging, it is sending power. When the LED is off, like it is now, it means it's not charging, it's not delivering power to the tablet. And this little circuit board here, it's in place to only turn on when it gets more than 13.5 volts. And the reason why we did that is because then you can connect this directly to the battery, and when your bike engine is off, if you measure the voltage on your battery, you will see that you have below 13 volts. So this is off. And when your engine is running, if you measure your battery or any point in your any point with power on your bike, when an engine is on, you will see that you have more than 13.5 volts. With this, there's no more, okay, I forgot to turn the tablet off and it drained my battery, because this will turn off when your engine is not running. Now, one of the details that you need to understand is, for example, lithium batteries are a bit different. So if you connect this directly to a lithium battery, this will turn on because a lithium battery can hold above 13.5 volts even with the engine off. So if you have a lithium battery, just connect this post ignition so that this gets power and you turn on the key, and when you turn off the key, it no longer gets power. If you have a regular battery, you can connect this directly to your battery, or also post ignition if you want. Some users thought that that was the only thing that this was doing. They thought, okay, so I don't want that. I will cut the wires and connect it directly. And that's really because your bike is 12 volts and a tablet or a phone or whatever you are using, Android based, it's always 5 volts. So if you connect 12 volts directly to your tablet, you will burn it. You cannot remove this and connect power directly to 12 volts. So we can actually check this really quick. Let's see what happens when I connect this to a lab power supply, which is currently at 14 volts. And as you can see, after some seconds, it will turn on. If I go to my power lab supply and I start reducing the voltage, let's reduce this. I'm now at 11 volts, it's off. The threshold seems to be 13.25. This is never extremely precise, but it's around 13 to 13.5. It's the threshold where this will turn on. Okay, and when your engine is off, your voltage will always be below 13 volts, so this will turn off. Okay, so that's it for the supply and charging section.